Not everyone should use a buyer's agent. Not everyone needs to use a buyer's agent. There are some circumstances where actually using a buyer's agent could be to your detriment, but there are also circumstances where it could be to your major advantage. This episode, we're going to uncover when to use a buyer's agent and when not to use a buyer's agent. Before we get into it, I would like to welcome back Akira. How you going?
I'm doing well. We're obviously in our questionable studio, which is exciting.
It is exciting. The viewers have, by the time they see this, they would have seen a few weeks of this out there. So I think it's, and I've been sort of saying for a while, we'll address what is going on here. So I think maybe, maybe a little, what are we doing?
Yeah, so I think we need to update the room, that's for sure.
We need to update the room. So if you haven't followed for the last few episodes, we have recently moved and we've also got a new podcast studio, which is where we are right now. However, the studio is extremely bare. It's extremely,
probably got some echo.
This is not our color, by the way. This was just how it was. Why haven't we done anything about it? Because we've been extremely full on doing a whole bunch of things, buying properties.
That's why.
And a bunch of other things that go along with that as well. And some cool things, which I think we will announce in the coming weeks, potentially months, of some other things on the side,
cooking and marinating.
Some things cooking, not necessarily on the side, because they're kind of like main platters, but there's a lot of cool stuff going on. The year's been extremely busy. It's good to have you back on the episodes here, as I'm sure the viewers will appreciate. We've had lots of cool things going on, but this episode is important because we're obviously buyers agents. You know that by now, guys, but I think we're very real with when we can help people and when we can't help people. And I think I just wanted to sort of extend that into what we are doing now to the wider people that might not even know who the hell we are. But when it's worth it, when it's not, welcome to our puppy Rome, who's just came to join us here at our feet. Good to have you here, buddy. So it's not good for everyone all of the time. There's some circumstances where it works and there's some circumstances where it doesn't. I think what is good to sort of cover is what a buyer's agent is actually for. And I think we got to just define the role of a buyer's agent, because I think it gets a little bit grey and messy out there muddy with all of the content and people pushing certain agendas and all that sort of thing. But essentially, a buyer's agent, in my opinion, isn't just someone who's going to send you listings. Like, they're not just in how I see a good buyer's agent running. Like just being like, hey, this property. That's not, in my opinion, what a good buyer's agent actually is. I think there's real value from a buyer's agent when it comes to aligning the property buying sequence with the strategy that works for you specifically as the investor. Not what's worked for them or anything else, but what works for you specifically. That's probably a major value. And to quote Vincent, who jumped on a potty with me recently, he was like, that was more valuable than actually buying the property itself, was the strategy component, right? So there's the strategy, there's obviously the sourcing, the deal for you. There's filtering out all the crap out there, because there's a lot of listings out there. There's doing the due diligence, as we often talk about, the negotiation, which is a critical part of getting the right price, managing risk, because there's risk through the whole journey, and just helping you execute with a bit of momentum. Because I see a lot of people kind of get stuck with that.
Absolutely.
So that's, I think, in my opinion, what a buyer's agent is.
Yeah, I mean, you're leveraging a service, right? From my point of view, and maybe just stripping this back a little bit, I honestly believe if you have time, if you have energy and the capacity to do all those things you've just mentioned, absolutely do it. But I think a lot of people are caught up with obviously day-to-day 9-to-5 work for the most part, or managing their businesses, juggling family. So really the plug of where buyer's agent service comes in is obviously the confidence and the time aspect, so that you can actually get into the market and move towards your goal. Yeah,
so we'll talk about when you should use a buyer's agent, which is an extension of what you're sort of just talking about there. But it's like, if you just want, listings, because you have some people sometimes they're like, oh yeah, just send us like whatever you got. It's like, nah, man, that's not how this works.
I know, cheekily, maybe just slightly off topic, like someone sent me a property recently with no context, what do you think of this property? And I'm like, well, I can't give you any comment because I don't even know what the goal is of this property.
Man. Like, give me something.
Like, what property is there to serve a purpose in your situation? If you don't even know what your purpose is for what that property is meant to do, there's no point. Yeah.
There is no point. Exactly. And look, I'm sure there's some buyer's agents out there that do just want to flog listings and all that sort of thing, but that's not what we do. And
maybe just to talk to that as well, like, there are a lot of people out there in the market right now that are selling something that's off the shelf. And that's not typically what a buyer's agent is. That's probably just connecting and getting, I guess, a bit of commission for selling a product. But a buyer's agent separate to that is actually advocating on your best behalf, separate to what a sales agent does, who is advocating on the sales side 100%. Of the puzzle.
That's right. And just, we often sort of bitch about it, but it's like typically, if it's a new something that the buyer's agent is steering you towards, even not buyer's agent, we've had clients where their own mortgage broker has tried to sell them, new private financial advisors as well. Now, guys, typically, if there's a new property involved with it and someone's trying to sell it to you, there's a massive commission that they are getting out of it. So just tread very carefully with that sort of stuff. Not always, but most of the time.
And when we say massive, it's massive. I get so many emails, 40K you can get in your pocket if you offload this deal. I'm like, no.
Exactly. And that's the right term, offload the deal, because no one else in their right mind would buy it. So let's go into when should you use a buyer's agent? Because they're like many of our clients that we work with, there's a genuine reason that they are using a service like ours. I think the most common, the most frequent, particularly with the clients that we've seen, is that you just don't have the time.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't mean to say you've got this hectic life traveling the world. It just means you're busy, right? You might be focused on your career, your business, whatever it might be. But when we sort of break it down, because I was thinking about this earlier, there is a lot of time that is needed to execute on a real estate deal, right? You have to, obviously, if you say the market, you've got to find the property, you've got to do due diligence on the property, you've got to get a contact with the agent, you've got to coordinate your building and pest, you've got to get all of these things done. And that's if you get all of them done at the same time, because quite often the agent's not going to pick up first go, right? Quite often you're not going to see a property first day you're looking at it. It's going to take days. It's going to take weeks. And it's only valuable if you don't have the time to do that yourself.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think the other part of the equation as well, the leverage component with the buyer's agent, is they have done many deals, ideally if they are competent and good. That means that they have spent time in a market. They've spent time building relationships. They've spent time already building a bit of an ecosystem to know the right streets, to know the right property managers, to know the right parts of the specifics in that property to actually make the numbers work as well. So you're leveraging all the time that they've already spent to make sure that you are actually getting the best outcome from maybe mistakes they've also made as well.
That's right. You're leveraging a system that they've built, right? That they've spent many years crafting like we have over time.
Absolutely. And I think about it a service is a service, right? It's same as a product that you go for, for an example. I can go to the shop and buy a cup of coffee, and it's easy as it's there, it's instant, someone else has made it for me, I get it straight away. Or I can go down the route of making it myself. Either way is fine. It's just if you have the time and the capacity and the energy to do it yourself or outsource it.
100%. And it's a lot of people that are high functioning, that are time poor, it's not like they don't know property. A lot of the times they do. It's just they're just not capable or available to go and execute on it just because of that time component. So 100%. And I think realistically, it's at least 10 to 15 hours a week. If you're doing it, because remember when we were doing it, pre-buyer's agent world, we'd have the spreadsheets and this and that, and we'd compare, all the research that we were doing. That took up a lot of time.
And to think that we were doing that individually together as well. So you spent time researching some parts of the obviously due diligence, and then I did that too, and then we obviously collectively spent that as well.
Yeah,
if
100%.
that makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah, 100%. And shout out to us, we've got results.
But we made plenty of mistakes though. Like I feel as though every time we made mistakes, we put things into action for the second property, third property, so that we didn't make the same mistakes as what we did on the first one.
Yeah,
So
I mean, to
each
be fair,
time
there wasn't too many there weren't catastrophic mistakes. It was just more so, I'm not going to do that
just
again.
figure ways of optimizing
that's
the
right.
process.
That's probably a good way to put it, optimizing it. So yeah, time pool is probably, the biggest thing. I think the second biggest thing that I see is, like, we've got a lot of investors that might be based in Sydney that want to buy up here in Queensland, or for example, they might be down in Melbourne. They might want to buy over in WA or whatever it is, right? Like buying in a city where you don't know, which is where I first used a buyer's agent many years ago, right? Like, because you might know your city like the back of your hands and all the good areas and all the bad areas and this and that, which is cool and fine, but your city might not be the best to invest in right now. And for example, Sydney, extremely unaffordable, and there's a lot of people investing in other states and leveraging a buyer's agent skill set to be able to go and do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that just comes down to confidence, right? If you're not familiar with an area, that's where you then rely on people who are, so that you can, again, leverage that knowledge so that you get the best outcome from
100%. With someone with the runs on the board, and yeah, having the right process. I was just sort of thinking then as I was talking, like, it's gonna no, because it's gonna make it sound like I'm trying to toot our own horn. Like, I was just thinking about our process, because I was like talking about like leveraging process, and I was like, man, like our process is fucking mad. Like it's really good.
Well, I think and that is part of the whole equation with paying for a service, but making sure that there's value. And you probably get to this in the conversation too, because again, you can go to Macca's and get food, or you can go to like a nice restaurant and get food. You're still going to get fed at the end of the day, but it's where you're going to get the most value, nutrients, outcomes for you to actually be. I'm using metaphors here, but I hope that makes sense. Like,
I think it's analogies.
Analogies.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I don't know. We're clearly dumbasses. I didn't do so well at English.
Drop that. I didn't drop that.
Yeah, you went to uni and shit. You should know all this stuff.
I retained only properties.
I thought you were going to say some other R word, but anyway.
No, but I think my point being is, like, there's different qualities of service in process.
100%, 100%.
And
yeah, no, 100%. I think we sort of digressed a little bit for a degree.
That's fine.
I think, it is fine. I think the other area, or other, when you should use a buyer's agent, I don't know. I feel like, look, guys, it is a little bit later in the day. All right. We've only had 2 coffees, right?
Yeah.
It was 2 or 1?
Was only 2.
I know, 2 or 1. It's been.
I think this room should be like, shout out to someone. Cousin.
Lukey. Yeah, you can shout him out. He probably doesn't watch this shit anyway. But
yeah, but he's like, set this up as a coffee shop. But
we'll turn this into a coffee shop, and maybe that's the next business venture. Have little beans and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so if you've got money and you need to act now, I think this is where a buyer's agent can really give you an advantage of giving you momentum into the market. Particularly, like, we've had a couple of clients where they have a sum of cash and they're like, hey, inflation is just burning through this cash. I need to do something with it. So we set up a plan, a sequencing, hey, connect with their team, their accountant, financial planner. Hey, let's bang out 3 properties here. This is why it makes sense, and map it out and go and execute on it.
Absolutely.
For them, I think that's critical. We had a few clients like that, actually.
Yeah, and I think to your point as well, like, I know specifically from one of our lovely, lovely clients, she had a ton of cash, and I think she was just feeling overwhelmed with how to best utilize it. Because when you do have a great starting point, that being a ton of cash, it's like, shit, you don't want to go backwards, you want to go forwards. And sometimes the I guess the blessing of having that can actually be, it can make you feel stuck, because you wouldn't know which way is going to be the best way to move without making a mistake if you don't leverage like knowledge that's already out there and people who might have already made the mistakes.
100%, yeah. And the other thing too, like, for example, now we've got interest rates rising, right? Like we've just had one recently. We've got potentially another few on the on the cards for this year. Like that means our serviceability window is going to narrow. And depending on where you are, it might even close entirely. So it's like if you've got a bunch of savings, you might not have tons of cash, but you might have savings now. But you're like, fuck, I need to get in. I need to do something. Having a good buyer's agent can just get you into the market before that serviceability window shuts, and you can move forward.
I just want to touch on one point that I'm just thinking of now as well. Often I know, and I've spoken to people who take advice from, and this is not bad or good, but it's a point. They take advice from their uncle or their mom and dad who have got into property maybe 10 years ago. The market right now is so different to what it was 10 years ago. If you're not in this day to day or have consistent experience and exposure to what is going on, not just in the economy, but all the different markets, it's easy to misstep. Because what happened 10 years ago is not relevant to your current circumstance. So true. And I often talk about, other. I feel like I'm catching myself in my thoughts. I often talk about like other buyers agents that would, or other just property people that promote strategies that they used, to build their portfolio. And it's like, hang on, man, that worked in 2008. Doesn't work now. Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's the same thing. So no, that I think that's absolutely critical. This next one that I have on my list, I'm hesitant to put it as a reason you should use a buyer's agent. And this is where you've got analysis paralysis. Okay. Because from what I've seen and the experiences that we've had, if you have analysis paralysis, a buyer's agent is not necessarily going to solve that for you. They can maybe talk you out of your own head to a degree, but like if you're an analysis paralysis type of person, hey, we're going to give you more data than you would have seen otherwise, and you're just going to get even more stuck.
Yeah, I hear.
So I'm going to scratch this off the reason you should use a buyer's agent. If you've got analysis paralysis, you've got to work through your own stuff
There's
first. You've got a blockage there, so we'll scrap that one out.
And I don't know, like when you use the term analysis paralysis, it's maybe more so talking to just being overwhelmed by data, but data is just a small piece of the puzzle. There's so much more to property than just looking at data.
Totally, and I think that might be a whole episode within itself. So one other reason when you should use a buyer's agent is if you are looking for a portfolio outcome. Okay, not just another property. Because some people just want to buy a property and that's fine. But if you're actually looking to build a property portfolio, scale something from nothing, this is where a buyer's agent can lend a tremendous amount of value to you so that you can use their experience. Why are you smirking at me?
I'm so sorry. I've got my own thoughts going on in my head about this point, but finish what you're saying because I think
I have finished. You can go now.
No, I was having a conversation with a gentleman yesterday and literally talking to this because it's twofold from my perspective. Now, absolutely, a good buyer's agent will help you build a portfolio. But I do want to say that there are a lot of buyer's agents out there, I was going to swear, but I won't, who will tell you you need 5 properties, you need 10 properties to make this happen. And I'm off the mindset, correct me if I'm wrong, that is absolute bullshit. The reason why I say that is I've said this time again, and you've said this also, it's not about the amount of properties that you have. It's about the value and what they're doing for you as an individual. They're making commissions every time you get another property. So obviously they're going to sell you more properties if they're not advocating for your actual wealth building. So I think just being extremely tactful, because sometimes even you get these buyer's agents that will buy your property and then 3 years later tell you to sell it because it's capped the market. And I'm not saying it's bad or good. Maybe in some circumstances, maybe. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, just be mindful that there is a vested interest from their side to make money.
There is. And I've got my sights on you. I know who you are. I know you watch this too. And you know that I know that you know that I know you.
But I'm just saying, it's not like, it's dependent on the individual,
it is,
I think.
100%. I absolutely agree. You've said it well. It's about value, not volume, as I say. I'm going to get a t-shirt made up with
value,
that.
Not volume?
Yeah.
Maybe that's our tag. Okay. I'll take it.
Why don't we? That could be the name of this bloody podcast. Smash Property Podcast. Value, nah, yeah. I have to just interject here. I think we should start a coffee bean business. It's just since you mentioned
Luke already, yeah.
I just think it just makes so much sense. Let's do it.
We drink so much coffee anyway.
I know, and it's just another cool thing. This is what happens with us. This is actually just
normal conversations.
Normal conversation.
I feel like I'm more me. I'm so tired that I'm more me now than ever.
Yeah, because you're out of your own head. All right, and rounding it out on when you should use a buyer's agent is if you want better due diligence than what you currently have, or you just don't know how to do due diligence on due diligence on a property, right? If you don't know that, that's when a buyer's agent can add a good buyer's agent can add a tremendous amount of value.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest value from a competent buyer's agent is mitigating risk for you. Because at the end of the day, like you're going into this to take away headache, not add headache. If that buyer's agent is not properly sifting through everything, not only just to cover you, but their own ass too, they are not advocating in your best interests. And that's why that is so important, to make sure that they have a process, regardless of who you choose to work with, but clarifying and actually visually seeing that they have a proper process in place to make sure that your best interests are covered. And this means like a few things. Maybe we just rattle what that looks like. They've got an understanding of the different markets and how they perform. They've got an understanding of how those markets or specific properties in that markets would suit your actual goal and where you're actually looking to go to use that property as a stepping stone. Making sure that everything is checked on the property, from easements to, I'm just going to rattle off a few things here, but this is just so that you can maybe talk to that buyer's agent and ask those questions. Like, are there easements checked? Are there housing commission in the area? Are there, like, I don't know. All right, help me out. Flood zones.
There's overlays. They're going to be like, do you guys even have a due diligence process? Because it sounds like you fucking don't.
I know.
The reason is, guys, because it is... I think it's over 50 points now, because we do keep adding stuff to it, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that if the buyer's agent that you're working with isn't willing to show you what work they're actually doing other than just finding you a property, then I got to say they're probably not the best buyer's agent out there, because for us, transparency is everything, right? Like, you should be able to see when it was last sold, why it was last sold, what is the compound annual growth rate of the property, what are the financial, things that you need to consider, like what are the suburb demographics and all of those sort of things. Like, I mean, we could literally just go on and on and on here, but like the point is that you've got to be able to see it, you've got to be able to make good decisions off the back of it. And that's just, I think, part of the process that you need to be.
It's mitigating risk, basically, making sure that BA is doing that on your behalf. You're paying them for a service. Don't just flog me properties off realestate.com or off market listings, because again, off market listings can have it's just a negative
marketing flog.
Yeah, absolutely. But you want to know why that property is off market as well, if you're being sold in off market.
Yeah, and there's also downsides to it being off market. You don't typically get floor plans, you don't get nice updated pictures. There's a bunch of stuff that you don't get from it, right? As I say, good deal is a good deal regardless of how it's been sold. Yeah. So I think a lot of people underestimate due diligence, and a lot of people overestimate their ability to negotiate on a deal, because negotiators isn't just fucking lowballing and expecting for the best. There is tactfulness with it. There's understanding the vendor's motivation. There's understanding the market conditions. A whole bunch of things go into it. And you got to get that right. And
I'm just going to call a spade here. Like with real estate agents, when they do work with good buyers agents, they build a good relationship to be able to, because they're working on their party, you're obviously advocating for your buyer. Sometimes if the buyer is working directly for working with the seller's agent, the best interest is not always kind of accounted for. So they don't have someone working on their behalf, so they can fall prey to the sales agent's tactics.
That's right. The sales agent is doing just that. They're selling the property. They're not helping you buy it.
They want the best price.
Correct. So That's when you should use a buyer's agent. Now let's talk about when you shouldn't. Now there's a lot of reasons as to why you shouldn't use a buyer's agent. The first thing is if you don't have your finance ready, don't use a buyer's agent because you're typically going to pay a deposit. You don't have your finance in place. You don't even know if you can buy a property just yet. That doesn't make any sense. I will caveat that if you are in the process of or about to have pre-approval come through, there's nothing wrong with getting the ball rolling with a BA. But like if you haven't even assessed your borrowing capacity yet, there's no point.
Don't bother. There's nothing more to say to it.
There really isn't any point with that. The second one I'd say is if like you don't have clarity on the goals that you have, the timelines that you have, all those sort of things, and you're not really too fast or bothered about it, that's when you probably shouldn't use a buyer's agent.
Should you even buy property? I don't know.
You shouldn't do anything. You should just stay at home. Stay at home today. If you don't know why you're getting up to go to work, stay home. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, no. I mean, to be fair, if you don't know what the goals are or the function of that property is, and maybe you need to soundboard it with someone, and that's absolutely fine. But I think if you've got to be a bit dangerous to know what the purpose is behind why you're doing something.
Yeah, because the reason is like I can't build out a strategy if we don't know what the target is.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's nothing to really work off. So that's the point. And it's like, and just to be clear, a goal isn't 200K passive income. I'm talking about what do you do when you have that 200K passive income? What is the real emotional driver?
People get, it's interesting to see people's reaction when you ask them what their goal is. Oh, they're like passive income. And then when you say, okay, when you get that passive income, what happens? They're like, oh shit, I don't know.
I thought about that. And then their eyes light up. They're like, oh wow, like I can
That's
do
possible.
do all this cool shit. So yeah, get clear on that first.
Yeah.
The other thing is if you've genuinely got the time, you've genuinely got an interest in understanding property markets and all of the things that go along with that, you've got the time to speak to the agent, do the due diligence, do all the research, all that sort of thing. Don't waste your time and money on a buyer's agent. Like save the fee, right? Go and invest the time in it yourself. That's clear.
I mean, I think maybe just talking to like Vincent, our last client's like podcast with you, he absolutely did it himself and he did a pretty good job of it. I think it just went to a point where he wanted to leverage strategy a bit more. But I think, again, to your point, if you've got the capacity and time to research stuff and do stuff, absolutely go for it.
100%.
To be honest with you, I'm a big believer in sometimes, especially if you're young and you have room to make mistakes, make those mistakes, especially if they're small ones, because you'll learn from them. But if you're at a phase in your journey where you're like, I've got capital, I don't have the capacity to make stupid mistakes, that's when.
Yeah, no, 100%. Our dog is, he's having fun down here. The other reason when you shouldn't use a buyer's agent, and this is probably like a pet peeve of mine, is if you expect the buyer's agent to work miracles. If you expect the buyer's agent to find a unicorn where you have been looking with your stupid ass criteria for 6 months on a property that doesn't exist and you think coming to a buyer's agent is going to solve that for you, take a hike. Don't use a buyer's agent at all. It grinds my fucking gears because it's like, you know that property doesn't exist. You're expecting because I'm a buyer's agent, I'm going to poof. Now here we go. Here's one for you. That ain't going to happen. All right?
Absolutely not. I think buyer's agents help you with finding the right property. But again, why do you have, like if you're setting your own criteria and it's not based in anything, that's also a question in itself. It's like your buyer's agent should be helping you understand the reality of what the market is. And it's not squirming out of getting you the best deal.
No,
like their job is to get you the best deal, but also make sure that you have realistic expectations.
That's right. You got to be realistic with what you can firstly achieve with the budgets that you have, and you know what's possible out there in the market. And it's like you might unintentionally have an unrealistic expectation, but if you're not willing to kind of be corrected and say, hey, no, this is really the way it is. This is this is the reason why, this is the evidence.
But some people have criteria from a year and a half ago that they're still trying to find a property on, and the market's moved like...
Yeah, you're trying to buy like 100 grand below market value, like, you know, fully renovated property in a nice, you know, high demand location. Like, get out of here, man. It's not going to work. I think the other thing too, like what I see sometimes, very rarely, is if you're expecting the buyer's agent to remove all of the risk. Right? Don't get me wrong. A good buyer's agent, through the right due diligence, can mitigate a large chunk of the risk, but they can't remove all of it. Right? No one can.
It's impossible.
No one can guarantee growth outcomes. No one can guarantee cash flow outcomes. No one can do anything regards to that. Right? Because, who can read into the future?
Yeah. I see a lot of these marketing things with new builds saying guaranteed rent for da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, that's a very risky product.
Yeah, no, it's absolute garbage. So a good BA is going to improve your odds, but they're not going to allow you to completely remove all of the risk and all the things that can go wrong. It's just not very realistic.
But I think that's something as an investor to be able to get comfortable with, because that's where, like, if you're going to be investing, you're taking a risk on something. It just needs to be a calculated risk. And what a buyer's agent does, ideally, if they're good, is help you calculate that risk.
That's right. There is actually a ton more that we've noted down that we can go to. I'm just conscious of time. I'm going to wrap this into another episode because there's actually a lot more that we can cover. But we've gone through, you know, when you should use a buyer's agent, when you shouldn't. We've told people our new business idea about the coffee. If you're into coffee and you know, I don't know how it works, let me know, because I'm serious. Next up, you're going to see beans on the table here.
If
like,
we get that done by next week.
I fucking will, man. I'm telling you.
Very efficient, man.
I will get things done. We've got business ventures galore going on here in the background, but none more special than Smash Property Investing. If you're out there in the market and you're looking for a team that has runs on the board, that's actually done it themselves. Kira and I have been buying properties for ourselves personally for many, many years now. One of our buyer's agents, Dan's, he's a young guy, awesome. It's on his second property already.
Absolutely.
He's going to be on third and fourth real quick. We get it done. We get it done well. We get it done right. We help investors beat average in the market. If that's something that you're looking for, there is a link in the description below that takes you to book a call with our team. 15 minutes. We'll tell you if we can help you. We'll tell you if we can't. That's how we work. That's what we do. But thank you for joining me back in this studio. I was going to say studio. Back in the room, the green wall room. It's been great. If you got some value out of the episode and you're still here, I appreciate you. What do I usually say?
I was just about to say,
yeah. Give us a thumbs up. Come on, let's go.
You're very, very well spoken when you like download. It's pretty good.
Oh, thanks. That's nice.
Pretty
That's
good.
a good way to end the episode. On that note, guys, until next time, thanks for watching. Catch you soon.
Thank you.